right, Wolfpack Nation, we are back, baby, for part 2 of our interview here with the one and only Tobais PALMER, baby. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, make sure to pause it right here. Go back and check out part 1 here, because we're going to get into some stuff here that was cliffhanged perfectly in part 1, which I know if you're tuning in right now, you're like, please tell me more. Please tell me more. And so, and especially too this year, Tobais, because I mean, first of all, I got to ask, I mean, do you watch a lot of NC State games?
I do.
I mean,
I do. I
okay,
still
cool.
support them, from right there in my living room.
I love it. So, because I definitely got to get your thoughts, because this has definitely been an interesting year from a wide receiver
Yes.
perspective.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, Devin Carter has been, he's showed up in big ways in some places, but then sometimes he's just disappeared. Like ECU game was just non-existent.
Correct.
Thayer Thomas has been a baller. I mean, I've said, I think a lot of people would say he's one of the all-time greatest NC State. Just, I mean, that dude was consistent. He catches
Mhm.
everything. He was always reliable. He could do it all. But everything else too. I mean, just like, Keon Lasane, Julian Gray, just we're kind of off. So, I mean, what were your thoughts, from a wide receiver perspective? Please help us in that area.
Wide receivers perspective, let's start with Thayer. Like you said, very consistent. What you see is what you're going to get out of him, and that's great because he's very consistent, and that's the name of the game. It's about being very consistent in what you do. Um, when it goes to Devin Carter, Devin, like you said, he showed up in big time. He had some big time catches, but he also shot away from it too. So, um, playing receiver, man, you got to show up day in and day out. Whether they game plan for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do your part, and I feel like with those two guys coming back, they were the leaders that people were going to look up to. And
Yep.
the other young receivers they had to take under their wing. Um, Believe it or not, I never paid too much of attention to the rest of the receivers. I just kind of
Okay.
looked at the offense as a whole, because I'm an offensive-minded person. I always wanted to, see, what the offensive coordinator was seeing and why was he running the routes he was running. So, man, I would
Mm-hmm.
see things sitting in my living room sometimes looking at the games. It's like, why he call that play? What is
Mm-hmm.
he seeing? And different things they should have done, but man, just for those guys to still go out there and ball and play, man. I mean,
Yeah.
my hat's off to him.
Absolutely. So let's get into it a little bit too, because again, you mentioned in the first part you tried to come back to coach, and so kind of tell me a
Correct.
little bit more about that. So I mean, I know, I've talked to a couple other former players that have reached out to Coach Dorn to ask about being graduate assistant and things like that. Is that kind of the thing that you're talking about in terms of coming back to coach?
Man, anywhere from a grad assistant, even a quality control person, just to move my way up, man. For me,
Mm-hmm.
just the experience that I have from the game, it's not a lot of people that can say that they've been in my shoes. Um, I believe, to my knowledge, there's only one coach on our coaching staff that has actually played in the NFL. I think that's Coach Joker. He's the assistant
Yeah,
head wide receivers coach, I believe. But
he is. Yeah.
um, but nothing against any other coach that's on staff. It's just that
Yeah.
you know, it would be a good look, former alumni, someone that's played at the highest level that you can play at, that has experience to come back and give back and instill inside of the young guys, the values of what it's going to take to play at the next level, and so many people, man, think that it's so easy to play in the league. And it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, man. And a lot of guys take it for granted.
Well, if it was, everybody would do it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
So, man, a lot of guys take the game for granted, man. And like I tell them, man, you got to respect the game because if not, it'll eat you up and chew you out. Spit you out. I'm
Amen to that.
sorry, chew you up, spit
Yeah.
you out. But
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it.
but that's what will happen, man. I mean, you really gotta respect the game. Take the teaching, take the criticism, and take it and apply it to the field. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of guys just think, oh man, I'm God given talent, man. I hate practice. I ain't got to practice hard. I'm gonna just show up in the game. That ain't how it works. It's really not. And you know, I always wanted to give back, man. I wanted to coach. I always wanted to make sure that once I'm done with the game, I can go and instill what I took from the game inside of somebody else and make them
Mm-hmm.
great.
Just kind of pay it forward, right?
There you go.
Just kind of pay it
There you
forward
go.
because someone got you to where you wanted to be in
Hmm.
life, right?
Right.
So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the
makes sense.
difference between the way that I got it then the guys are getting it now is because they're getting paid, they're giving these NIL deals. Like for me, I feel like we had to get it a little bit from the bottom. We had to get it from the mud, and we had to really grind and get it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, whenever you do it that way, you appreciate it more. And with some guys, they go in there, they bust it out 2 years, and they think, oh man, I'm gonna be top round draft pick. I ain't got to do so hard. I ain't got to go so hard this year here. I mean, I just got to get through and be injury free. And
Yep.
then
Yep.
it hits them because in the league, everybody's good. Everybody's fast. So
Yep.
you
Yep.
got to be able to compete.
Amen.
I think you're saying it without saying it a certain way, right?
Hmm.
And you have the Bradburys, the JJ Watts, who guys that are coming in 1, 2, 3-star
Yeah,
guys who make it to the league, and you got 4 and 5-star kids that just they
they
fade
fade
out.
out.
They don't get developed. They don't they're like, well, I'm a 4 or 5-star. I don't have to work as hard as this 2, 3-star
Hmm.
kid.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you see, I mean, there's a ton of those stories in the NFL
Hmm.
today. You like Tom Brady, that's an easy low hanging
Right.
fruit, but he was a 2, 3-star kid, coming out of high school, just worked his
I
tail off.
mean, that's just like Antonio Brown. I know he had his past, and never,
Yeah,
he's still human. He's still one of us,
yeah,
but at the same time, he was a 1 star coming out,
one
and he got
star. Yep,
drafted in what, the
yep.
sixth round, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So,
I,
yeah, something.
I,
But
I,
but
w-
but at that point, it don't
it
matter, right?
doesn't
You work your tail off, and you can
yeah.
become a Hall of Famer.
exactly.
Yeah.
You got guys that I don't think you have any undrafted guys that are in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, you got guys that are all
Right,
pros that weren't
Mhm.
right.
drafted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I will warn you, Tobias, that Greg is a Tampa Bay fan. So, just,
yeah,
It's
but,
all
it's
good.
all good.
yeah.
It's all
Hey, it is
good.
what it is, right?
I'm actually a Tampa Bay fan, not a Tom Brady fan. Though
Ooh.
though I do like Tom
Yeah.
You
Brady,
can't
but
you
Got
can't bet
to.
against
but
Tom though, man. You can't count him out, man.
no, of
Never,
course not. Of
Can't.
course
never
not.
bet against Tom
But
Brady.
but but speaking of former NFL quarterbacks, we had Mike Glennon on probably about 2 months
Hmm.
ago, and he brought up an interesting point that I would have argued the different. Obviously, in having look at me not playing in the NFL, but he said the hardest adjustment for him was not from college to pros, but high school to college. Would you agree with that statement, or would you
Um,
respectfully argue with your quarterback?
I feel like I will agree with him.
I
You
would agree
definitely
too.
have to adjust. You got to adjust.
Hmm.
Because now your playbook isn't just as very simple, like simplified as
Hmm.
it is in high school.
Right. Hmm.
The lingo is a little different in high school playbook compared to college, and college to NFL. So the it's really just trying to adjust the way that the field is played, like the front five, front four, whatever they're playing defensively. The defensive lineman makes the game a lot different.
Hmm.
From
Yeah.
college to NFL. So
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Mike G. I'm gonna keep calling him Mike G. I like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, that's all we called
He
them.
Mike. He said for him, it was just getting into the weight room, right?
Hmm.
Like something that really, it was new. Obviously going to class, just everything that all the amount of effort
Right.
that it takes just to become, and then of course quarterback is a whole nother different
Yeah.
beast other than other positions because
You
you
got
got
to
to
know
do everything,
everything.
right?
Hmm.
You got to know everything. You get all the FaceTime. You're the ones that has the microphones put in your
Yep.
face, and it's a different adjustment. So, for you, what was the biggest adjustment though, going from high school to college? Like, what was like that aha moment that okay, I'm here
Yeah.
now.
Really, I hated the weight room. Let me put that out there now. I hated the weight room all because I felt like it was going to take away from my speed. Um, but going back to the whole weight room thing, weight room, you got to get in there. You gotta pump some iron. You got to get it beef up a little bit more. Nutrition definitely plays a factor. How you treat your body. You only got one body. So you might as well
Yeah.
feed it the right way, treat it the right way.
Mine's like a temple.
So,
A lot of barbecue. A lot of
Yeah.
barbecue.
hey, but you got to treat your body right. And like I said, really just adjusting your mind to how fast the game is, learning the playbook. And that was key in the NFL. But
Yeah.
just really learn the playbook, know where you fit in, and once you know your role, be great at it. Everything you do, just be great at it.
Yeah. Well, I think Eric
for
Thomas
sure.
said it best when he did his speech at NC State. I think it was in 2014,
Hmm.
before that season, where basically said, I mean, you think you've made it to the big leagues, like you have all your meals provided. You have the weight
Right.
room, you have the training room, you have the film room. You have a field, you have an indoor practice facility, you have like all this stuff. Which, unless you went to IMG Academy, you did not have 99% of this. So
Correct.
it's kind of like a holy crap, like I have all this now, like this is easy now. It's like, no, I mean, it's they're
What
tools.
are you going to do
They're
with it?
Yeah.
tools.
Right.
They're not prizes. They're tools. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
I think that's really one of the biggest wake up calls, for sure. So that's why
Yeah.
I'd 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But so Tobias, this is definitely one game which I have been dying to ask you about ever since we got this booked.
Well,
But
actually, this is what got us. This is what got him here today.
yeah,
Remember we posted that a few days ago.
yeah, uh,
That video.
the Clemson game, right? That's what we're talking about.
Oh,
Oh
you
no,
was talking
Clemson.
about the
I was
Talking
thinking
Maryland
about the
game?
Maryland.
Clemson game.
I was talking
Yeah,
Maryland, but you're
Maryland
right.
game
Clemson was
too. But yeah, I
Clemson was
got
an amazing
but
game
Clemson
too.
happened before Maryland for sure. But yeah, no, Clemson
Yep. Yeah,
game.
for sure. For
I
sure.
got to ask, man. So tell me, from 0 to 99, how confident were you that State was going to beat Clemson, number 7 Clemson? AK, I'm not allowing you
I
to tell me you
was
were 100% confident. Ain't
no,
no
I'm not. I
way.
wasn't. But
Yeah,
the focus, I never forget preparing for that week. I was about 90% for sure we were gonna beat them. For one, we're a hell of a hard team to beat at home. It's hard to beat NC State at home. I believe the year after my senior year, we ended up beating Florida State. They were number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was no doubt in my mind that we couldn't beat Clemson, but we know we had to match their intensity. But they were at our house, so they had
yeah,
to come to our house and beat us.
yeah.
Um, but it was just really all about preparation, man. I felt like we prepared hella like strict that we was on top of everything that week.
Mhm.
We made sure that we went through our play calls even in walkthrough. Mike was making the right reads. He was making the right checks. We were walking our routes. We knew what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, and once we was done with walkthrough that day, we had our little meeting. We go to our hotel and kind of just dream and think about close. What I did, I would always close my eyes and visualize how I'm going to play, what I'm going to
Yeah.
do, how I'm going to do it. Um, and I just try to make it, and I just turn it into action, man, and just let it show on the field, man.
I got you. Well, because I mean, the one play which stands out for you is I think it was either a screenplay or just like a quick comeback route. But
It was a
basically,
screen.
it was a screen, yeah. And you must have broke probably 3 or 4 tackles getting to the end zone.
Hmm.
And to me, it was that play, which I mean, I'll be honest with you, Tobias. I'll be honest. I think it was more lack of the defense side in terms of tackling more than necessarily it was like, dude, Tobias made a heck of a play. I mean, just because, like,
Right,
dude, like the guys were just like, it was that play where I said, Clemson's off today. They're off.
right,
Like, dude, I
right.
mean, and then the funniest thing was afterwards, ESPN had the camera right in your face, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody got right in your face and said, that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm like, oh, God, ESPN picked that
That's
up.
that
So,
was Jay
yeah,
Smith. That was my teammate.
yeah,
Hey, Jay Smith's my
yeah,
man. He's
yeah,
from seven
yeah,
five
Yep,
seven, like I'm
yeah.
yep.
from. He's down from my
So,
area.
so,
Yep.
so I mean, hey, I mean, if you disagree with me, tell me like it is, Tobias. I mean, you get, I'm not, hammering you down for sure.
Oh
I'm
no,
just
no,
telling
you're
you what I
fine.
saw, man. I'm just
Um,
telling you what I saw.
personally,
They
now,
didn't want none of that smoke. They didn't want none of
nah,
that
they
Nope.
smoke.
didn't. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I felt like we were like beating Clemson down, and they were tired. I mean, you can tell.
True.
Now going back to that play, of course, I'm gonna give credit to myself. I made a hell of a run. I
Sure.
made a play,
Hey.
but
What?
but
Yeah.
um, Clemson being Clemson, knowing how Clemson is, knowing their the way that they play ball down in Anderson is, yeah, it was too many missed tackles. I felt like it
Mhm.
was more of a lack of effort. Um,
It's mental,
and,
man.
and it's mental, like you said, it's mental, and
Mhm.
it was just they didn't make the play. So
Yep.
and honestly, man, going through that play, man, when Mike G called a play in the huddle, and I looked at Jay, and Jay was like, "I got you." All right, cool. And we made it happen, and we did, and we knew that their defense was tired.
Yep.
And hats off to Coach Bible. I give it to him for this. It was a hell of a play call. It was gutsy, but it was a hell of a play call to call a screen pass into the boundary. Um, but the slot receiver, I'm sorry, the nickelback he was playing golf,
Yeah.
playing golf, and he seen it, like go for it, and we made it happen. And man, at that point, when I'm running down the sideline, I'm thinking, all right, do I need to run out of bounds or do I need to make a play?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, F it, I'm gonna make a
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
I made a play, man, and
Yeah.
it worked, and I had fun and I enjoyed that night, man.
I love it, man. I love it. What?
What was that score? Was it 41-10?
I
Was that
think
what it
it
was?
ended up
What
being
was
36-12, 37-12,
Yeah.
36 to 12?
Yeah.
37
Okay,
Yes.
12.
yeah. I know it was a
Mm-hmm.
beatdown.
Yeah.
I
Still
yeah.
my favorite quote. If you saw this coming, send us a letter. That's still one of my favorite quotes to this
Yep.
day. So, and also
Yeah.
too, you talk about Clemson, and obviously, we'll come back to the Maryland game, but since we're talking about Clemson, you freaking go off and you freaking say, Clemson, sit down. I got your number. And you go off for, what is it? 496
96.
yards total,
Mm-hmm.
219 receiving and 3 touchdowns and 277 yards kickoff return, man. I mean,
Yes.
what were you drinking that day? Because I need to drink it. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like whatever
honestly,
you had, man.
man, me being the only senior receiver, I knew I needed to do something. I needed to do
Yeah.
something, and I was already kind of frustrated because I felt like me being the only senior receiver coming back, you know, I felt like I needed to eat. I needed to eat more, and I felt like Coach Bible was being very conservative, going back to conservative,
Yeah.
with the offense, and when you hear a coach tell you there'll never be 1,000-yard receiver in his offense, it kind of puts you in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't even
Yeah,
like you get your best playmakers the ball.
exactly.
Like I mean,
So the way that West Virginia were using Tavon Austin, they should have been. I felt like they should have been using me in that same type of way. But having the old school coaches we had, not saying all of them were old school, but majority of them were, and
They were.
the playbook that we had, I mean, it just wasn't. They didn't throw that wrinkle in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just more of a smash mouth ball, the offense we
yeah.
played. But going back to that Clemson game, man, I just knew I had to make a play. I knew I had to be a difference maker some way,
You made a
somehow.
couple. Yeah.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
I knew we beat them the year before, and I can only imagine, like, all right, they saying this ain't about to happen again. Now they're at our house. So, they had hella weapons on their offense. I knew it was gonna be an offensive battle, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had to make it happen.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, we ran out of gas at the end, huh? But
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I just had to be a difference maker, man, and you just showed them like, look, I'm here to play. Either y'all gonna be with me or you're not, but I'm here to play.
Yeah.
And I can say this, give props to my brother Mario Carter. He was tight end. Me and him was the only receivers that was over 100 yards that night, man. And we were both balling out, man. I mean, he was a
Yeah.
senior, I was a senior,
Yeah.
and man, we just wanted to make the most of our opportunities, and I felt like that night we both did.
No kidding.
Has so that number is that a record for state for most yards in a game? Do you
It
know?
is, to
I
my
don't.
knowledge, it is an ACC, definitely
Yeah,
ACC record.
uh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I'd say the only person that really comes to mind would be like a um darn it, I just forgot his name.
It'll come back to you.
I'm having a rough night
Yeah.
tonight. No,
Yeah.
Naeem
Right.
Hines. I know he's like one of those all-purpose guys.
Hmm.
He had a lot of games where he would
Run,
get some
kick,
returns and
Right.
get some touchdowns
catch,
from
do
scrimmage
it all.
too. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah.
So now let's jump back to that game. Yes, that brought us all here for sure. The Maryland 2011 game. So I do got to ask you this too for sure, because I mean it was pretty well known that if that game had gone south, O'Brien would not have had the
Dunsky.
2012. I mean, it wasn't
Oh
happening.
no, for sure.
So,
For sure.
so, and literally, it was always a joke of mine being like that. Literally, that halftime speech must have just been like him, just like, please, like, please, let's pull this out. Which, I mean, we
Right.
know O'Brien enough to be like, he ain't begging nobody. Yeah, get out of
Yeah.
here. But I mean, like, because there was no explanation. I mean, first half was just terrible.
Yeah.
And then I mean,
Yeah, it
even the
was
start of
terrible.
the second half, like I still literally
Mhm.
remember sitting beside my cousins, and the first touchdown happened in the second half. I said, if they score one more time, we're out of here. And of course, they
Yeah.
didn't score one more time.
That's
after
when
that.
Meggett broke up the sideline. Yes, number
Yep.
8. Yeah, it was that running back.
You
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep.
tell me, like,
Yep.
what did happen? I mean, what was that switch?
Oh man, I don't. That game we came out flat. The game plan was there.
Both teams kind of did though. Like neither team was
No.
like it was
Yeah.
ugly. Like they were scoring, but it was,
It was
ugly.
ugly.
Like we had turnovers, they had turnovers.
hmm
We just gave them more
And
turnovers.
I just felt like, man, we didn't come out and be dominant like we talked about during the week. And once we went into halftime, man, we get booed by our own fans, man. I mean, that's a feeling that you never want to feel. So
Yeah.
we go in at halftime, we make adjustments, and I just remember, Coach O'Brien gathering all of us up, and he's like, "They better not fucking score no more." I don't know if I can I don't know if I can say the F bomb, but I'm sorry.
You just did. You'll be all right.
Hey, they'll get over it.
But they say they better not score anymore. Defense, you got to anchor down. You got to do what you got to do, and know your reads, make plays. Offense, score, keep scoring, and we went out and we got a drive going, and I never forget the play the call in the huddle was called fish. Fish is always to the F receiver. It's an option route. So basically, I'm one-on-one with the middle linebacker. And the look they were giving us was the right call at the time. Mike G looked at me. He just gave me that nod. Okay, cool. I know what to do now from here on. I made a play, a score, and
you don't even
once you made
celebrate.
that
You just catch
I didn't
it,
celebrate.
toss it.
I didn't celebrate.
No.
I didn't celebrate
Time and
because I
place.
was mad. I
Yep.
was frustrated because I'm like, we need this game to go to a bowl, and we're playing at the level of our competition. So we need.
That was not a
No,
good team.
no, they
either.
weren't.
Like that Maryland team was so
yeah,
bad.
they were terrible. They were terrible, man. And at that point, I didn't want to celebrate. I think you might see it on the video. You'll see me and Mario. We'll do a little chest bump, but that's it.
Yeah, it was
It was
business.
all business at that, and at that point, we going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, all right, man, we gotta make a comeback. And then, we got TC involved, which is Tony Creasy. We got him involved. He definitely stepped up huge, made some big plays for us. And,
George Bryan was the man that game, like on his senior day.
Right.
Now, I mean, I know this is the Tobias Palmer hour, but
that fourth and 10 catch.
George Bryan,
that's big.
Oh,
that's big.
Ooh,
that's big.
Dude.
I mean, every time you needed a big catch in that game, like what was Maryland thinking? Like we went to him like 7 times,
and every time big time,
caught every single one, man. Every
so
single time.
Man, that game, man. I mean, just seeing our fans leave, man, we just knew that we had to anchor down. We had to do what we needed to do to come back and play, man. And then when we made that comeback, man. And then at the end, when CJ got the interception and ran it back, man, and we just,
he wasn't even taking
no,
a knee. He's like,
there wasn't a single person.
I'm not taking a knee. I'm taking it to the
no
house.
Way.
It was it was nobody in front of him, so I knew he was gonna take it all the way back. So
no. Well, especially the comeback that they did. It's like, no, we are going to put the spear in it right here, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, if it wasn't for the Maryland kicker getting hurt earlier in the game, and then they had to bring a backup kicker, that would have been tied for the all-time ACC comeback. Because as it was only 27 points, whereas the record was 28. Yep. So you essentially tied the record if it wasn't for a knucklehead kicker.
Exactly.
Look at you, Greg.
But
historian, man, I love it.
Yeah,
good deal.
But that game, I mean, it's just it's funny because I think you're the reason, Leighton, that we posted it on the on Twitter the other day because I was watching it, getting ready for the bowl game, and I watched that game, and then the next year in 2012, that was my wife in my third date ever up at College Park. Okay. So, so
all right.
I have an affinity for Maryland games for whatever reason. I lived in Maryland for
and that was the last time we played them was in 2012. Yep,
Yeah,
sure
Yeah,
yeah,
was.
y'all
in,
did,
in
but
the in the
we played him in
ACC.
2013 and we lost to him.
Oh, it
That
did?
was last
Oh,
year.
really? Okay,
2013 was
okay,
last year.
okay.
2013 was
Yeah,
last
I
I
year.
think
thought it was
yeah,
2012.
But
Okay, it
but
was
yeah,
13.
but 2013 didn't happen. So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
I
We
got
lost
you.
that game,
Yeah, we
but
did. We lost a lot of games that year. Go ahead.
um, so we went over a couple of those games, but I mean, are either one of those two your favorite game, or do you have a different game that's your all time
Um,
like personal
well, of
favorite?
course, Clemson's going to be number one,
Oh
um,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
But I enjoyed the Belton
yep.
Bowl when we played Louisville. That was a hard fought game, but man, it was a team effort. Making a one-handed touchdown catch, man. I still didn't. I still don't know how I made that catch. I'm looking into the lights, looking for the ball, and it just landed right in my hand. But I
Mm-hmm.
definitely enjoyed that bowl game, man. Just to be back in our home state, being able to play, and man, being able to celebrate Dave shattering the ACC record, man, with
Mm-hmm.
what 14 interceptions, man, and then he runs it all
David
the way back and
Anderson. Yep.
scores.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot, man, that happened in that game that I enjoyed for sure.
Yeah.
I think he honored this year as an ACC
Yes, he
legend.
was. Yep,
He
Was
should
that
be.
was that?
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
ACC
Dude.
championship.
yeah.
Yep.
At the ACC
Dude.
championship. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hmm
still
That's what I
remember
thought.
that
Yeah,
graphic, where they put up like, his interceptions compared to like I think it was like 10 or 12 different teams in the top 25 that have less
Yes.
interceptions
yeah. I
than
remember that
him.
Yep.
too.
Like that
Yeah,
was ridiculous.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
but the one thing which I do want to talk about with the Belk Bowl, because you mentioned it, in terms of O'Brien, very conservative play
hmm
calling. That was a game which I feel like we kind of started to play not to lose a little
Right.
bit. I
Yes.
mean, I feel like
Yes.
there's plenty of times, especially with Mike Glennon, which
hmm
there was a game in 2012 where you had Mike Glennon and you chose to be conservative, and it bit you in the butt in a very, very historic, ugly way. But I mean, was that
I think
just
I know what game. I think I know what game you're talking about too.
where somebody like named Bio Gernard, something like that? I don't know, but anyway, we don't have to talk about
We
that
don't talk.
Tobias game. We don't
We
have to
don't
talk about
talk
that
about.
game. Yeah,
You're breaking
everybody
up.
know.
Can't hear you.
But I mean, so I mean, did you kind of get that feeling? In terms of the play calling, did you kind of get that conservative feel as well?
Uh, in a way, I did, but I mean, I liked that times where Coach Bible was definitely aggressive with his play calling. Um,
Yeah.
he took shots, and he was going to, if their defense going to give it to us, why not take it? So I was definitely
Yeah.
pleased with the play calling in the Belt Bowl.
Cool deal. So to kind of wrap this thing up, Tobias, this is really a big topic right now. I know that you and I were actually talking about
Yeah.
this, a couple of days ago, and you being a former, player yourself, playing NFL, playing college for sure. I do really want to talk about it. Obviously the Damar Hamlin, situation for sure, and you know, I think honestly it was just kind of a huge just kick in all sports media. I mean,
hmm
even for me and Tuffy Talk, I mean, it hit me and all of us, really hard. Kind of made us take kind of a step back because this guy's 24 years old and was fighting for his life playing a game.
hmm
That is a lot of people's
That they.
livelihood, but
Yeah.
but then they're playing a game which is for entertainment
Right.
of millions and millions of people. So like, what was your initial reaction when you saw it? And then if you had to
Mm.
give a message to those to NC State fans, to supporters of football, like, what would you say to that?
Man, first and foremost, prayers work. Praying is definitely works, man. And not only myself, but man, people around the world has been praying and praying, man, and trying to get their family through a tough time, man. Being someone that played the game, man, it hit me differently. It hit a lot of us
Mhm.
differently. But just it felt like I knew him, like I've personally been there beside him, grinding and on the field and through the trenches, man, and playing. But just to see another brother of the game, because football is a big fraternity. Um,
Amen.
For
to,
sure.
to to fight for his life like that on the field, man, is such it's devastating. Um, Never have I ever heard of seen or someone having to get CPR for one, and
On the
on the
field.
field,
It's
on the
crazy.
field, and have to be revived twice. Um,
Mhm.
man, it's like football is a dangerous game. Don't get me wrong. Football is
Yep.
definitely a dangerous game that we play, the things that we do, and what I think people that have never played the game before don't realize what we put our bodies through day in and day out.
Hmm.
Until you've been in those shoes, you will never know. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
man, definitely, it was definitely a blessing to see that, he's finally up. He's
Hmm.
responsive to his family and friends, people that are around. That's big. That's very big, man, and
Yeah.
that's a huge blessing. That's the reason why I say, man, praying works. It's your that if
Amen.
that's not a true testimony or showing just a sign of faith, man. I mean, I don't know what else it is. Um, and
Amen.
then another thing
Yeah.
too, man. I know it kind of hurts, and I know it's kind of hard for T. Higgins. Someone that felt and feels like it's his fault for that play, and it's not, man. And
No.
it's
It was just
routine.
routine. I
Routine.
mean, it just
It's a
bang
bang
bang.
bang play, man, and it just so happens to, you know, I had to teach myself this is that if you're hitting that area of your chest, um, even whenever like because your heart has a rhythm and it has a time that it's supposed to beat every single time. And if you're hitting hard in your chest at that time that it beats, you can easily knock it off rhythm. And that's what happened.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
it sent him to cardiac arrest. And so, man,
Yep.
T. Higgins people giving him death threats and everything. And I'm like, man, it's
It's
ridiculous, man, and it
ridiculous.
sucks because, people like that, man. I mean, that's the last thing that guy needs, man.
No.
So it
Yeah.
was, different reports about T. Higgins. Actually, he was there from Monday until today by DeMar's
Hmm.
Hamlin bedside. So, and that's big. That's big, man. And
It's amazing.
yeah, it
Speaks to his
speaks character,
character,
man.
right?
And like people gotta understand, it's bigger than football. It's bigger than football.
Way
It's way
bigger.
bigger than football, man. We talking
Yeah.
about somebody's life and the whole tweet with the whole Skip Bayless thing. I mean, man, that kind of really pissed me off. But I kind of like,
Hmm.
so I kind
Hmm.
of
Yeah. It didn't need to be
it
said.
didn't
It
need to be
didn't.
said.
There was no added value
Yeah.
there
Exactly.
to
Well,
what he said.
and because too, I mean, like, yeah, he was saying there at the end, like, like he basically kind of backtracked there at the end, saying
Right.
like, like there's somebody down right now, but it's like, just don't even mention the game right
Don't
now.
even
Like,
mention
just
it, bro.
just don't even
Yeah.
mention it.
It's
Just
Yeah.
stop.
secondary.
So
So,
yeah.
so for me, if I could just
Yeah.
interject a couple
For
thoughts
sure.
on that
Yeah.
whole thing. One, it it for me it brought the
Hmm.
human element, right? We look at these guys, we put athletes in general on
Correct.
pedestals,
Amen.
right? And I think you almost put like football and hockey players on an upper
Hmm.
more pedestal because of the gladiatorness of the
Yeah.
sport. And so for me, it was just like whoa. And then I was someone had brought it up, and I had totally forgot that I was at that game when at basketball, NC State, when South
Hmm.
Carolina State played us, and the kid
Right.
collapsed on the bench, and you could see him just. And I remember and sitting in the stands, and I was just motionless. Like I'm white, I was like
Right.
pale white because it was almost like did this guy just die on the
Yeah.
sidelines doing what he loves? Because that's it. Like you have a passion for your sport and then just see you lay it these kids, and I say
Right.
kids for college, and then adults in pro sports, they literally lay it on the line for our
Correct.
enjoyment,
Hmm.
entertainment. Like it's insane.
Hmm.
So hats off to anyone that was ever in that position, or like I mean those I mean seeing those
Hmm.
fans like gathering outside the hospital, like you said
Hmm.
earlier, praying for that, praying for Hamlin.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that he's doing better. He's still
Right.
got a long road to recovery, but he's making progress every day,
Correct.
and we definitely
For
here
sure. For
praying for
sure.
him.
Amen to that.
Amen to that too.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead,
No, I was
Tobais,
about to
please.
say, and another thing too to add, man. I mean, you know, yeah, there's a life after football. Now, this could be determined by his career. He may not ever play football again. You having two heart attacks within, 10 minutes apart. I mean, it sucks, So, this could be his career. And, it is a
Yeah.
testimony, for him to definitely be awake, be responsive, be able to live through this. But like you said, he definitely has a long road to recovery. And man,
Amen.
I'm still praying that he makes a full recovery for sure.
Amen.
And I want to add one more thought that I found out today. Like, I heard this guy's salary, and I don't know if you guys know what he was making.
Yeah.
He's making less
Yep.
than $1
It was
million. And so for
$817,000.
hmm
yeah, like
And it's
that's
not
it.
guaranteed.
Nope.
Like no,
If he doesn't play
no.
a single more game, he doesn't get another
hmm
paycheck.
Well, it might
And
change.
here's the
That might
thing.
change.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll get some
Yeah, he's
medical
gonna
stuff.
get
He'll get
medical
some
stuff.
medical stuff,
Yeah.
But
from
it's
the
only like
league.
$4,000
Yeah,
a month or something like that, isn't it? At least that's what
Well,
the guy on the rant
well,
said.
with this right here, this is a total different situation.
yeah.
So
This
they
one might be
Well,
a
might,
little
I
bit
hope
different.
so.
yeah, and me
Yeah.
too. I'm praying so too, because they
Yeah.
this right here, if he can't play another down in his life, this is something that needs to
Yeah,
be compensated for at least the rest of his life, or majority of
Amen.
it, something.
yeah. I mean,
Amen.
Yeah,
yeah, and I don't know what the answer is, and obviously we're not going to
correct.
solve it here
No.
tonight. But there's definitely some things definitely need to be
Right,
looked at, right? And I'm hoping maybe fans now take another look at when they see, Aaron Rodgers gets paid what he gets paid. That's like
right,
1% of the league, right? Most of the guys would fit, a
right,
lot
Yeah.
less. There's only the pay disparity. It's significant, and it's like that in a lot of career
Sure.
paths. But they're not laying their lives on the line like I'm going to work working on computers. Like
right.
I'm pretty good. Like
Yeah.
these guys, it's a little bit
Yeah.
different. So I really hope that there's some changes made
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
me too,
Amen.
aspect
for sure.
moving
Me
forward
too,
from this.
definitely.
Amen. Well, Tobias, again, first of all, man, I really do want to say thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, man. Again, this has definitely been a goal of mine for sure, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, man,
Thank
and
you.
definitely will continue to be a big fan of yours, and definitely hope to, yeah, just like you said, you got to be at NC State, more soon. Definitely would love to
Yeah,
have you a part of the staff if we're able to make that happen, man. But if not, man, you're always welcome back, man, for sure.
thank you.
I know you're a
Appreciate
North
it.
Carolina guy, so I know it's not far to go.
Nah, it's
So I
not,
know
man.
it's not a big task.
Nah, I really.
So
Yeah, we owe you a tailgate, man. Anytime you can get to a game,
yeah,
man, let us know. We'll
Hey,
we'll
host you
treat
at
you
a
right,
hey,
man.
man,
tailgate.
Don't you
sounds
worry.
good. So we'll go ahead and start planning
Yeah.
for next season for sure. Then, how about that?
Let's do it.
All
There's a
right.
lot of big games next season, man.
Hey,
So a lot
man.
of opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, with that being said, if you want to follow Tobias on either Twitter or Instagram, we'll have his Instagram and Twitter handles in the description below. So make sure to go and follow him and check him out. If you want to continue to stay in touch with him, for sure, make sure to do that. And then for us, obviously, if you haven't already, once again, just a reminder, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified on all your devices whenever we go live with any new NC State content, whenever we do our Tuffy Talk live shows, our watch parties, you name it. And also, if you enjoyed this conversation, if you wouldn't mind, and that would help us out a lot, please hit that like button. We would really appreciate it. And also, too, if you're listening to this even as well, one thing which I'll ask, which is kind of a branding thing, is if you wouldn't mind leaving us a 5-star review as well, we really appreciate that as well. But thank you all so much for tuning in with us. We appreciate y'all's support. And as always, go Pack, baby.